Hey guys, back with another Maple Story video here. This time, starting the year off right with some Radiant Exalts. Now, I don't do this too often. Kind of just had to take advantage of that New Year's package. Got some luck with the Star Force 20 and Star Force 21 scrolls. And so I figured I test my luck and start the year off right with a bang. And well, the results are kind of what you expect and what I expected. Just a lot of fails, just a lot of unfortunate, I did end up passing this one right here at 35%. So I failed at 40%, bricked my gloves, ended up failing at 30, passed at 35%, and then starting the year off with some Culvert, some MSW, failed that. 6 to 7 is pretty tough. And just ended up getting some more Radiant Fathers. There's a lot of Star Force scrolls in the TS due to Golden Apple, so made some mezzos, sold some nodes, things like that, sold some stuff, and ended up buying stuff at good value, but no results to show for it. Even my Dominator pendant failed, so got some more fodders. This was a lot all at one time. Didn't really spend a lot of real money, a lot of mezzos that I was making mezzos, but the results, nothing to show for it. And then I made my own 18% Exalt reduction. First attempt, was able to pass that on my gloves, and then had a last but not least, a 12%, just threw it on my hat. It was a good value of a top that I found. I kind of sniped off of TS for 100 mil, passed a 20% Star Force, but failed a 12%. No surprise. That was just for the 5% boost for the next attempt on my helmet. And then I went into the content, the real bossing, started the week off Monday doing Mulong. And this one, I just want to show you guys real quick how I do floor 44. Sadly, it came to a terrible ending. It really tilted me, pissed off at myself, but show you kind of my run through floor 44, how close I get at the end. This is from my Paladin point of view. So I ended up, rotating through my iframes, my res, my synchro every time bombs came up. Had pretty good luck right there with the purple full map clears. You can see I dodged that front purple attack right there by dashing through, dodged it again. So that's usually my biggest issue of failing and being in a bad spot with that full map clearer where the only opening is on the opposite side where I'm stuck in one corner and trying to go to the other. So here, the positioning was pretty good. I was able to get a good uptime doing damage. Up jump for the tornadoes. Right here, the map clear, there's a little spot right there. Usually, a lot of people can't find that spot. A lot of the times that it's hard to see, but there, more often than not, is a little small opening for that full map clearing ability. And right there, I had to use my synchro because I ended up stunning at a bad time. And now I'm just maximizing DPS while Echo is up, all my cooldowns are up. And it was going really well. You see, I have my iframe up, my res up, so I'm pretty safe for a purple attack right there. Expected that, dodged it, and it's going really well. Thinking it's going to be a clear, just trying to play it safe with the tornadoes, trying to reposition, make sure that I don't die to anything unfortunate. And right here, you see my stun is going to come off in 5 seconds, and I poorly plan it. I do it right off a cooldown. It doesn't stun right there. Purple attack comes up, die. Literally at the final second. Yeah, that one hurts. I wasn't able to clear floor 44 at all, and that's literally how close it was to a clear. And then we're going to get into Culvert, the first run of the week. This was with Boss Rush Potion. I was shooting for 6K, and I think I could have got there. I changed up my strategy a bit right here. I popped on my cooldowns on stage 4, and then I used my Threaten, my Noble Demand here on stage 5 to chunk it down real fast with all my cooldowns up. I think that might be the strategy I'm going to try moving forward, using my cooldowns on stage 4 just to clear it much quicker, to get to stage 6 quicker, and then pop Noble Demand for stage 5, then Noble Demand for stage 6, and just DPS synchro, try to rotate it. And one of the things I tried to focus on and what it allowed me to do by popping my cooldowns in stage 4 immediately was that I had my hammers up earlier for the stage 6 the second time around, and I was able to pair it better with my defense smash 4 to get maximum value out of it. So you'll see in a little bit with my echo that's going to fall in about 20 seconds. My defense smash 4 is up right here as well, and I'm going to time it later on to use my hammers right when DS4 lines up. And in this video as well, I did try blue jewels just for maximizing DPS. For me, I did a lot of testing recently to see. Right there, I'm going to pop my hammers with the defense smash 4. But this week, I was still testing Fafnir versus Necro, and then EXP jewels versus blue jewels, and then RA hat versus Necro hat. Now, my Necro hat gives me a little bit more cap, about 120k more cap than my Fafnir hat, but my Fafnir gave me 4 set, a little bit more extra physical attack. It was a BA emblem, so I'm using it here in Culvert, but in bossing, I think my Necro hat is still better, and I'll show you my final build before my Lotus run that I'm going to post at the end of this video. But here's my Culvert run. It's pretty close, neck and neck with 5k. I think defense smash 4 should pop up here in a little bit towards the end, so my score is going to get bumped. But that knockback, not having EXP jewels for the knockback, really kind of costed me a little bit in some situations and just fell short of 6k. Not surprising, but I think I can get 6k soon next week with Boss Rush Potion again, but we'll see. And then with the hitting my 1 Radiant Exalt, I tested out Guild Dungeon again, got my class buffs a little bit here, and I was able to hit a new PR. I think my previous PR was 907-ish with my cap 1858 now. I am using a Fafnir, my Fafnir hammer again. And so Fafnir for me has confirmed with a lot of testing personally is the better option, just because again I do cap all my lines and my echo lines in content, so I'm really focusing on that non-cap lines, and that is where the Fafnir really shines. Now in the next coming weeks, I'm recording this after realizing that the EXP cap is going to increase from 250% to 300%. So I am planning on going back to PXP and EXP in the near future. And you'll see right there, 928, my personal best. Still have a lot more cap to go, but hopefully that's going to be my PR for a little bit. And then, as I was talking about, I plan on switching back to PXP and EXP hypers probably at the end of the month, trying to get to 230, pushing that level, taking advantage of that 300% EXP curve and PXP. So this will be kind of the last testing full DPS wise. I'm curious to see how much of a difference PXP and EXP make, since Pallies did get a lot of percent buffs, PD percent, PA percent to post remaster. I'm curious to see what my damage will be like, but I'll share that once that happens in my future videos to kind of give you guys an update about what the difference is if you are thinking about going to Party EXP hypers and how much the damage is going to suffer. I'll show my point of view from that. But then here's my arc run. This is right before our Lotus run. This is with Boss Rush Potion. Wanted to see kind of what my PR was. This is about standard to what I normally hit. Now I am using my RA hat in this one and PD jewels, as I mentioned that, so it is a little bit less cap than I could have with compared to my Necro hat. So I think I could hit higher. I have hit higher, but this is kind of our standard arc run, Boss Rush. Just wanted to share point of view and share some content. And just share, Paladins are a really good place, especially for these shorter fights in Arc. Our Divine Echo is on a 90-second cooldown, so that burst combined with the remaster buffs, it's hard to beat our first kind of minute and a half, but I think that, in the longer fights, we do average out, we do kind of come back down to earth, but we still are in a very good place overall compared to a lot of classes that honestly did, non-explorers did suffer with the threat change. Our shades, nightwalkers aren't doing as much damage as they previously did, but phantoms, DBs, pallies, explorers overall did get a boost, obviously, and I do expect that in the next rebalance that this will average out. The other non-explorer classes will get a boost to their damage, and things will become a lot more balanced. But right now, it's hard for me to disagree with anyone that says that explorers, paladins are top tier, OP, extremely strong. So that's my arc run, and then we go into Hard Magnus right afterwards. And again, Hard Magnus is kind of right in the wheelhouse of paladins, especially with Synchro. Kind of just stand there, maximize our DPS, do a ton of damage, and going to top the charts. No surprise there. But yeah, if you're having a hard time with Hard Magnus, it's nice to have a paladin kind of get within that 1 minute window, 1.5 minute window, and just go crazy with it. But we've been doing Hard Magnus for a long time now at this point as a team post arc, so it is kind of second nature to us. We still have to do callouts. We still have people that are first timers. We're trying to bring along more people into arc and our Hard Magnus to get them geared up, progressing. So, but it's not really an issue as we clear it pretty fast. You see kind of a minute in. This is about standard. We're going to clear it right after this. So there's the Hard Magnus damage. No surprise, kind of in that echo window. It's tough to beat, especially with Synchro up. And then last but not least, Lotus run. In this run, I'm going to show you my best build. So as I was talking about previously, I was testing Fafnir Hammer versus Necro, RA Hat versus Necro Hat, PD Jewels versus EXP Jewels, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that for me personally, since my build is sort of going in the direction of final damage souls, HP, MP, flames, I do have a few EXP jewels. I'm flames still. I still have EXP rings, but I found that my EXP, jewels doesn't give me, only gives me about 600 more attack and X amount of crit damage percent. So for me personally, in my build right now, PD jewels are the best, especially since I'm not capping on my lines. That PD jewels, 8% I think is what I get, will be better than the 600 physical attack that I would get from the EXP jewels, and as well as the crit damage, which doesn't really mean anything since I'm capping on my crit lines. I'm really focusing on those non-crit lines, and PD jewels will be greater than the physical attack that I get from EXP jewels. But however, I do end up switching to EXP jewels after phase 3 for this run because of that knockback, which is so underrated. I think that people are starting to realize how much of a benefit that is. And you'll see my first minute is pretty insane here. I peaked higher than I've ever peaked before with this new build that I'm having. So it felt really nice. My damage was stronger. It continues to get better as I'm starting to build more, as I'm starting to progress and test out more things, and just getting better overall, navigating phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. But unfortunately in this run, we did have a lot of purple orb phases, so our time wasn't ideal. It wasn't as fast as our previous run, but still was a really good time. The team did really well. We had a few deaths at the end of phase 1 here that kind of cost us, but it was going smooth overall. We did have a glitch with our Phantom res for some reason. He used it in phase 1, but it glitched out, and for some reason he wasn't able to use it in phase 3. So it became a little sweaty towards the end with all the purple orb phases and kind of single deaths here and there, but we were still able to clear nonetheless in a good time, as you'll see right here. For me personally, this is about as good as it gets for me. I do, as a paladin, I died right there. Well, I procced Heaven's Door. As a paladin, I do try to focus on using my Hero's Will and my Will of Urda whenever I go up, and then use my shield. Died right there. And use my Smite shield as much as I can if we end up using kind of getting in a bad position with bombs as it gets closer. Smite Shield is a great AoE for the stun and map clearing ability. So right here, CDs come right back up, and we're going to clear it in good time, just over 3 minutes. Those 3 deaths right there, we weren't able to res, so they had to sit the res timer fully, pretty much, going into this phase. That's why they can't res right here. But we're able to get into stage. So 5 lives left going into phase 2. Not that big of a deal. We did have a few issues, again, like I mentioned, but overall, we got through it. Phase 2, pretty standard. We're going to clear it probably around, just under 6 minutes left on the timer. And it's looking like a good run, pretty much on pace with what our previous PRs were. And here you're going to see I'm going to switch to EXP jewels for that knockback since I am the aggro for most of this run. I tried to do a better job of positioning, facing the boss in one direction so that I don't, stun and knock back the rest of the team. But right here I'm not aggro, so I can't really do anything about that. And then I also want to mention that podcast, my Echoing Thoughts podcast, episode 5, has been released yesterday. I'm talking about my predictions, kind of answering the burning questions of 2023. If you're wondering about Absolab gear, if it's going to be better than Necro, when Damien's going to release V3, how I predict Sia is going to be, when that's going to happen. That first rebalance, I think, is going to be epic for the rest of the classes. My thoughts on that. So a lot of hot topics, a lot of things people are wondering about in 2023 and hoping for. I talk about it in the podcast, my predictions, and what I expect is going to happen based off of what Nexon has done in the past and just what they're kind of hinting towards moving forward. So definitely check that out on Spotify. I'll have the link in the description below as well. But you'll see 4 minutes left. We already had our second purple orb phase back to back. 3 lives remaining. Kind of was a sweaty situation. A lot of people died right there. I think they got stunned by a car. And so our bishop had to take a life, and then res everyone. So right here is kind of where it got a little sketchy. Our phantom right there in the left corner was switching to TL to use it. So we had our res back up just to play it safe. Our first phantom did not have res, like I mentioned before. So we were playing extra safe, extra defensive, trying to make sure our positioning was on point. I tried to communicate, which way I was facing Lotus, to make sure that no one else got knocked back or comboed into a train or a car, stuff like that. So that was one of our emphasis right here. I think I did end up calling for res right there for that single res. So we were in a tough spot altogether. We had no res remaining. Yep, he did res right there. So we had no reses remaining for the last 2-ish minutes before our bishop came back up, and we have 2 lives left. So it was sketchy for a little bit. We were trying to communicate to make sure we played it safe, positioning, and of course purple orb phase once again. And so luckily I had my pally res up for that one. So the team overall did really well, surviving, and we actually get one more purple orb phase just at the end, just to make us work for it. But you see 2 minutes left. We're in a good spot damage-wise. Not really worried about that. It's kind of just about the lives and making sure that, and especially our bishop, who cannot die in this situation with the res coming back up, since she's only res left. But we do get the job done. I'm trying to make sure I position, and everyone positions behind Lotus. I'm trying to make sure he faces right, and right there. 4 purple phases in a row. No electrocution, no teleport. So time definitely could have been better. Could have been less stressful towards the end. But the minute timer is going to come back up. Avoid that car right there, and we're going to clear it in the next 10 seconds. And as you see, that's kind of how Lotus RNG plays a huge part. But our phase 1 was solid, around 3 minutes. Phase 2, obviously, We had a lot of time left in phase 1, but here's my DPS. Not as good as last week, a little bit of a longer fight, but my peaks were a lot higher. Almost hit 88 bill in that first minute. Minute 7 was also high as well. So excited about the progress, personally, but excited to share more. PXP, EXP coming soon. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.